Hey everyone, so today I'm going to talk about how sometimes we lower our awareness, and we get our awareness from our lessons that we've learned in life, how we lower our awareness to suit the comfort levels for other people, right? And this is really, really confusing at first when you're learning to set boundaries with people, because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, you don't want to be the bad guy, you don't want to be rude. But what if I told you that by setting your boundaries, by using your awareness of what you know to be true and what's right for you, okay, this is your bubble. And I don't mean that in a narcissistic way. And in fact, this is really going to piss off narcissists. And the thing is, narcissists have this down to an art. The problem is their intentions are fueled by wanting to just get their very selfish and destructive needs met. Okay, there is a difference. And I really hope that no narcissist takes this advice, because it's not meant for them. This is definitely meant for people who are struggling in their truth, because their truth is being used against them and twisted in ways that are very unfair. They cannot do this to you if you stick with your truth and stay firm. And it doesn't matter if it's in friendships, at home with your family, in the office, at work, okay, and in politics. And let me tell you that there are politics all over the place, even if it's not with the government. I'm telling you that this is society, and this is where we're at right now. And the thing is, we have all learned these lessons. And in my opinion, from my experience and perspective, we learn this over the course of multiple lifetimes. That's what I believe right now to be true. And I think that some people learn it and come back, and I think a lot of people don't come back. And by that I mean their energy, right? And I believe that we pick our parents. I believe that our energy picks our parents based on the lessons that we still need to learn. And we're not going to learn it all in one lifetime. It's going to have to come back and come back and come back. So what are you doing? What was I doing? I was going crazy trying to force my truth and my awareness on other people. That's why I love the internet, because I can put this here, and if it's for you, great. And if it's not, great. Okay, and I know that that's a very popular and sometimes annoying sounding trend of, this video was meant for you if you're seeing it. Well, part of that's true, because the algorithm is watching the stuff that you're paying attention to. And so maybe this video is for you, right? And that's because the awareness is a gift. The awareness, and I don't mean the type of awareness where you're completely destroying your mental health by nitpicking and overthinking, because I have had issues with rumination before, and I'm telling you right now, it is not the road to serenity. It's not the road to peace. Sometimes we have to use those critical thinking skills to get us out of a situation. Once you're out of that situation, then use your critical thinking skills and your cognitive behavioral therapy, that I'm a huge fan of, to then process why in your new situation or in your healing journey you are doing and feeling and acting the way that you are. And does it align with your core values? Right? So if you are dimming your light and your awareness of what you've learned in life, because guess what? We all learn different lessons. If you're lowering that to suit the comfort levels of other people, you are not doing them a favor. You are definitely playing against resistance. You want to take the path of least resistance. And while it doesn't feel right, and I know it feels counterintuitive, and I'll use an example of, let's say that something that you know that you're passionate about, right? I'm going to use my singing career, for example. I left Nashville and I came to Key West. Why? Because I knew, based on the lessons that I'd learned in maybe other lifetimes along with my current lifetime, that I was not suited for the games and the crap and the judgmental BS in the music industry. That's not why I make music. That's not why I wanted to be known. Okay, I have other fish to fry. I have bigger messages to give people. I do not have time for political crap in the music and entertainment industry. It doesn't mean that I don't want to be an entertainer. It doesn't mean that I don't want to be a singer, okay? And I want you to apply this into your life. But when I came down, and of course suited for you, but when I came down from Nashville and I came to a little tropical island that is on the edge of the Caribbean, 90 miles from Cuba, everybody thought I was nuts. And now guess what? All those people are now scrambling, not all, but most of those people either gave up on music or are now scrambling to make sense of their life, because they had it hung on one version of doing it a certain way in the industry. And now guess what? Every single day, famous people are less and less more important to normal society. And why is this? This is because people are learning that they're just as valuable and just as important themselves. And by that I mean they're not fixated and obsessed with people that are on a pedestal. And it doesn't mean you can't be a fan of music and stuff. That's amazing. But don't you remember like back in the day where people would just like, oh, like they would die for anything to just touch a star, you know? And it was like kind of, that always weirded me out. But, you know, they were just obsessed. And it's like, okay, let's balance this. You can be a fan of music, and you can be a fan of a singer or a songwriter or musician. But I think that people are finally learning the balance, right? Of still being able to love themselves and their life and other things too. And I love this, okay? Because I never really liked the idea of people obsessing over me. In fact, I get uncomfortable even when I'm on my walks, and sometimes people will like approach me and I realize that I'm posting stuff on the internet, and this might sound really weird to some of you, and I have a show tonight and tomorrow night, right? Because it's what I do. And in front of people to do what I love. That's what I do because I'm a messenger. But I like to do it on my terms, and I don't like to be attacked or approached really. And that's just because I'm usually in a different mindset, and this is really common with a lot of people. And by the way, I'm not saying don't come up to me or anything. It's just, it's a really strange thing to balance, especially emotionally and mentally. And I know that for people who are not performers, they're probably like, then why would you do what you're doing? And if you've not noticed, this is a point I'm making. That's why I came down to Key West. That's why I decided to do it differently. I wanted to do it the way that it worked for me. And it took a lot of guts to do that, okay? It takes a lot of guts to make decisions that feel like, ooh, am I messing this up? And guess what? Maybe you are sometimes. And that's how you learn your lessons, right? But if you have an awareness that is so true to you, and if you have an awareness that you know based off your lessons and your truth and your facts and your experiences, and you know it to your core, and you know what I'm talking about, that feeling right in the center, right here, and you know, because when you go against it, it doesn't feel right, okay? But you're trying to make people around you in other situations feel more comfortable. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, and I'm not saying that I have this all figured out. What I am saying is the path of least resistance might be something that you're sort of placing over here to make these people around you more comfortable. Now, this can be really difficult for people who are going through a healing journey and they're not quite sure how to make those boundaries. And I'm still learning how to make boundaries. It's difficult because, you know, especially if you've not made boundaries in certain ways, and they might be really little even. It might be something really small. And I have always had respect for people's boundaries. I've always sort of been enamored by people who are able to go, no, this is my hour that I read, and nothing's going to interrupt that. I'm the type of person that, like, if I'm taking some time to read by myself and somebody that I know and love interrupts, I will drop everything for it, right? Okay, unless it's a serious emergency. Okay, these are boundaries, and this is difficult for me, right? And it doesn't seem like it. I'm the queen of being able to stand up for other people all day long. And I'm the queen of being able to, you know, like be the mediator and go, okay, come on now, let's all get along and this and that. But when it comes to protecting myself, I struggle with that. And another thing about this is that, you know, especially right now, there's a lot of unrest in the world, you know, and there's a lot of things that people are disagreeing on. But I find myself learning, like, once I kind of open it up a little bit, I think that a lot of people actually want a lot of the same things. And it's the journey to getting there that is sort of what people are definitely not agreeing on. And this is not only going on politically, but it happens in life too, okay? It happens with everything. It's just like cooking something. Some people cook different ways. Some people, you know, exercise differently. And what works for one person may not work for a different person, which is why we can't all be the same. And we can't all have the same journey, and it can't all be done the same way. And one would hope that no matter what we're doing, hopefully we would do it in a humane way. And, you know, back to the relationship situations, I have gone through situations where throughout my adult life, especially, where I've been in relationships where I lower my awareness to make the person I'm with comfortable. And that means to the point where, maybe looking at the stars and going for a walk and painting and not thinking for just one day and just sort of being. I've always known to be good. And what was I called? I was called weird. I was called slow. And I started to do those things less and less because I felt more lonely when I would do them, because I couldn't find people who also thought that was the way to be sane, right? And I understand that I'm an artist, and so some of my needs might be a little bit strange because not everyone's an artist. But we're all human, okay? So we all have these things. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's music and art for you. It might mean that it's reading or going for a drive or doing something just to do it. Now, let's get into if, let's say, it's a lifestyle, okay? A lifestyle that you want to live, clothes you want to wear, places you want to see. If you're around people that are like, you shouldn't do that, first of all, don't listen to that, because whether you should or should not, that's your lesson to learn. And it's your awareness based on the lessons you've already learned that are telling you that that's the thing that you want to do. It's kind of like the hot stove, right? Some people have to learn, and some people don't learn. Some people learned already. Okay? It's the same thing. So going back to the order from the universe, if you are struggling and you think that forcing your awareness down other people's throat is going to change them, I have news for you. No, it's not. Their experience is going to change, and you're going to give them a better experience of learning if you just stand firm in your boundaries, and because you're going to teach them what you will and will not talk about or be. Okay? So if you want to live a certain way, do it. Just do it. Just do it. And you're going to learn that the people who appreciate where you're at in life, and the people that you probably should be around a majority of your time that you choose to fill with people, are the people that are probably playing around the same level of the video game. Now, every now and then you're going to have these people that come up from a different level or up or down, and they're going to try to push you down. They're going to try to force you to do things that you don't want to do. These people are going to make fun of you. These people are going to talk shit about you behind your back. These people are going to fuck with your head. These are the type of people that are there to maybe teach you a lesson, but they are not there to keep around. Stop bringing poop to the party. I am so serious. I am so guilty of this. Stop making excuses for someone being a turd. They are what they are. And maybe they won't be a turd in their next lifetime, or maybe next week they'll choose to be different. But while they're trying to make you stink with their stink, no, stop stepping in the poop. I'm kind of talking to myself too, can you tell? But I'm serious. Like, we have to have these pep talks, because the more we focus, and I'm telling you, just like RJ Spina has said, and if you want to grow, I'm going to link his book, by the way. It changed my life. I finished it. I finished the book on Christmas Eve, and on Christmas Eve, my whole life changed. Okay? This book is amazing. I'm telling you, I'm going to link it below, but in the words of RJ Spina, attention is the new oil. I'm going to say it again. Attention is the new oil. Why? Because our attention is an energy, like it's like a beam of energy. And if this doesn't make sense to you, you can go to the next video or hang with me here and just trust that this is proven through science and quantum physics. Your focus, okay, is fueling what is going to happen, okay? And if you're going to keep focusing on what's already happened to you in life, you're going to keep getting that, right? So what I've tried to do is shift the focus into how to get out of it, and shift the focus into the new awareness that I'm not going to dim and I'm not going to push to the side for anybody. Nobody. And these videos have helped me. You guys have helped me stay on track with this, and it's taken a lot of guts. Because when you go through abuse and you go through trauma and you go through these things that nobody really wants to hear about, especially if they've never been through them before, they're like, oh, we're going to avoid that. Yeah, okay. But it's important to remember that you're going to look really different when you hold your awareness like it's a gem, it's a gift, because it is. and you are disrespecting the lessons that the universe has given you, okay? And I use the word universe because I know a lot of people get uncomfortable with the word God, and I don't want to sit here and try to explain to you why you should not think or be or feel a certain way about words and other things, okay? That's up to you. But I'm telling you, the universe is a thing, and we are all energy. This is all energy. We are more energy than we are matter, even our bones, even our organs, everything. Okay, so when you're using your brain, have you ever touched one of those balls where it's like you put your hand on it and the electricity like goes to where your hand is, and you take it off and it's like this, and you put it in, it's like this, right? That's energy, you guys. And when you're thinking, and your heart and the brain, the coherence here, when you combine them, it's very powerful. And so when you have your awareness of who you are, what you want, what you believe, at where you are in the video game of life, and you're going against it to suit the comfort and the needs of other people, I'm telling you, there is nothing more disrespectful to yourself and to the lessons that you've learned in the universe. And I find myself doing this sometimes. And it's because the old me wanted to be the Girl Scout of, I did everything right. I didn't break any rules. I didn't hurt anybody's feelings. And it's not even like the want and need to be perfect. It was just the want and need to be accepted, okay? Because being shunned historically proves that people don't survive. Guess what? That was then, this is now, we've evolved, okay? So let's live where evolution has come, and let's use these lessons. The lessons that people learned in ancient wisdom, a lot of that is still valuable. And there are these surface level things that are not valuable anymore, and we have to regroup and reset. And a lot of people have not. A lot of people are still stuck because they want to be comfortable in what's familiar. And I find myself doing this too. We all do this. And what's familiar and comfortable for me was lowering my awareness so that I could communicate and be on the same level as what one would call a normal person. I've never been normal. I know that I was born outside of the matrix. This might sound like goo goo gaga bullshit to you, and I don't care. I don't think I was ever part of the matrix. I don't think I was meant to be part of the matrix ever. And because I thought that there was only one way to get through life and society was to sort of normalize myself a little bit more so that I wasn't so weird to people. I'm not weird, I'm me, okay? And if people, and by the way, people now in these days, like, I used to like be a little bit less aware, and that's because I hadn't been around as many people. And I was always just focused on singing, and I wasn't really focused on developing, everyday social skills. And I always knew that there was something off, like going to school. Like, of course I wanted to learn. Of course I wanted to be outside and play. Of course I wanted to make friends. Of course I wanted to think and be creative. But the way that it was being shoved down my throat felt like, ugh, this is so outdated. What are we doing here? What a waste of time. How much did you learn in school that you're using today? Don't worry, I'll wait. I'm just over here. Don't worry. Probably not a lot, right? And what we remember the most in school is probably when we got in trouble. And for me, it was either for talking, being late, or not giving the right answer. And I will never forget, in high school, I didn't get a 4.0 because why? Because I was told to write a paper on my opinion of, and I'm not even going to go into it, but it was between domesticated cats, the effect of domesticated cats and wild birds, okay? And I stated my opinion, and I got an F on this paper, which lowered my grade just enough so I graduated with a 3.9 instead because of this stupid teacher who didn't like my answer, even though the whole point of the assignment was to write about my opinion. They didn't like my opinion, so I got an F, okay? And this is the kind of crap that happens with people and that is awareness. I was more aware than this person on a certain level, in my opinion. They thought they were more aware. What was going to happen? I mean, I marched in there in that classroom and I gave him a piece of my mind. And he was proud to push me down. He was proud to do that because I didn't conform and I didn't write what the teacher thought I should write. Okay. I didn't even get to walk with my high school class because we're not going to go into that right now, but most of it was because I actually finished my academics early, and I was performing in Branson, Missouri, 2 shows a day, 6 days a week. And I wanted to take a time off just to walk with my class. My cap and gown are still in the package, still in the plastic. Why? Because the superintendent of my school said because I went into independent study, I didn't get to walk with my class, people who I had gone to school with since I was 5. Okay. What was it going to hurt? And they were just going to hand me my independent study diploma instead of the one from the high school that I started in. All right. And in fact, the guy that actually tried to fight for me, because he saw how great that would be for me to be able to walk with the kids that I'd known my whole life. He saw how great it would be to have me perform and sing at this graduation. He saw how great it would be for me to, just because I chose a career as a teenager, and it made it so I had to do independent study instead of go to normal school like normal kids, because I had already started to develop a career for myself, but I couldn't sustain this in the normal school stuff, right? So he saw the value of that I was reaching for the stars before I turned 18, okay? And he saw me as an advocate for people who are different and creative and want to go about their careers a different way. And he and his wife came to one of my shows in Key West just a couple months back. And it was so emotional for me to say hello and meet him, because again, after all those years, because he fought for me, and he still said, I will never forget, and we still listen to your music, and I'm so proud of you. You're doing what you love, and you're doing it in the way that you want to do it, and that's the way that you've always been. Good job sticking to your guns. Okay? This is what I'm talking about. So it doesn't even have to be a career thing. It doesn't have to be anything at the office. It could be something very personal. It could be, hey, I didn't pay this bill this month because this bill is not something that I owe anymore because I'm not using that service. How many of us have all of these apps on our phone that we're paying for that we don't even use? But because we said we would do it, we're still paying for it. And then what happens when you go to not pay for it? They flood you with why you should keep it. And then you feel that guilt and you're like, oh, right? No, listen, if something isn't working for you anymore, stop giving it attention. Stop giving it the oil. Stop giving it the power. Stop giving it the energy. Put a stop to it. Put a stop to it. And I mean this. And this is really difficult, especially in times right now that we're going through, right, in the world. We're all frantic, and let's just be real. I don't think anybody, quite frankly, I don't think anybody is proud. Anybody likes to see the evil going on. Not anybody that I know, and not anybody that I've seen. Okay? Everybody has their own version of crazy. But what side of crazy are you going to be on? Are you going to be on the hateful side, or are you going to be on the human side? I'm just saying. So as far as, concluding this video, I've struggled recently because I've really had to make some hard decisions. I've had to make some hard decisions. I've been making hard decisions. Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted from hard decisions. But I've had to make some hard decisions, in all aspects of my life. And in some of these decisions, I definitely gave a very long time, maybe too long, to put my foot down and say no. But my awareness is at a peak or not a peak, but at a state where I know that it's time for me to start making different choices. And that means sometimes focusing on something different and not giving the focus and the energy to things that are just going to manifest more of that. That's literally how it works. And it's so hard for us humans to figure this out. It really is. And I always tell my friends, and even I've said in these videos, sometimes you have to brainwash yourself into where you want to be, and starting from the end part, right? Starting from the end and working your way this way, because, and for the good, not for the bad. And I think that if we all do this and stick in where we are in life and what we've learned, don't rush yourself and don't rush other people to understand it. Okay, there's a way to do this where you are impactful to others, and some of us are meant to be lessons in other people's lives, and some people are meant to be lessons in our lives. Okay, so don't lose yourself through the process. try to grow, try to stick with your guns. And I'm not perfect. I don't do this perfectly. And I struggle with perfection mostly because I just don't want to do the wrong thing. And I think that that's most of us. Most of us don't want to do the wrong thing. I mean, there every now and then you find that person like, I don't give a fuck, Well, sometimes, and I know that there's books about it, the art of not giving a fuck or whatever it is, I know. But that mentality for people like me, which if you're watching this video, especially now, you've listened to me blob and blab for almost a half hour. But, I think that it's okay, for us to talk about this stuff. And if you're like me, you want to do the right thing and you don't want to be the bad guy. And a lot of times the people who try to do the right thing and don't want to be the bad guy end up finishing last, and nothing about that makes any sense. But the problem is, it's because we're focusing our good intentions on things that we don't want anymore. There it is. We can't keep focusing our attention on the things that we don't want anymore. If you don't want that service, stop paying for it. If you don't want that person in your life, stop thinking about them. If you don't want that evil that keeps creeping into your life, stop giving it attention. If you don't want to be where you're at, stop focusing on where you're at and start focusing on where you want to be. Whether it's physically or mentally or both. Use your imagination for the good. Use your awareness and your imagination to suit your goals, to suit what you want in life. That's all I got for you today. That was a lot. But I got to play a show and I'm going to rest my voice for a little bit. Hang in there, you guys. I know that things are really, really messy. And sometimes focusing selfishly on something that makes you feel better and makes you want something better and placing your mind in the future of the end happy result that you want can feel very unsettling when things around the globe especially are really messed up, and it feels like you're not helping because you're not focused on the problem. I'm not saying to be negligent of the problem. I'm saying that it's that energy that you create when you are throwing your attention on what you want to happen instead of what's already happened and is happening and you don't like it. You are fueling the good stuff to be stronger than the bad stuff. And I know that it sounds cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I promise this is how it works. And if we could collectively do this, I do believe that it would improve humanity. And we are on the cusp of really, really messing up this planet, really messing up the relationships that don't have to be messed up, really screwing ourselves. We've got to shift our focus. We've got to. This isn't one dimensional. This isn't about one thing. This isn't about just my past relationships, friendships, family members. This is not what it's all about. It's a collective thing. And if we can try to start simply. I know a lot of us don't know where to start. Start slow. Start by taking 5 minutes a day for yourself where you selfishly focus on the things that you want instead of focusing on the things, whether it's the news or your family or your friends or your work or your ex or your current relationship or your bank account or your health. Any worry that you have, give it a rest for 5 minutes. Try. That's my biggest tip for you today. And I promise you, I am walking proof, and I am not comfortable sharing the details of the really scary, bad stuff that I've been through because I don't want to talk about that stuff. But I want to talk about how I got through it, and it started small. I told you I couldn't even get out of bed on Christmas Day because I was so scared. I had been through so much trauma. And I'm telling you, all I could do was carefully get myself out of bed and just take a bite of a Christmas cookie and get back in bed. And that was an achievement. And that was me focusing on at least something positive. Focus on my dog. Focus on the fact that I'm safe now. Focus on the fact that I'm next to my best friend. Focus on these things. And then little by little, I was able to focus on things that reached me to the next level, So now I have for months, I'm going on 6 months of practicing this, okay? And I've always been good at this, but I got trapped in a really nasty, dangerous mess. And my life was at stake, and on multiple levels, okay? In multiple situations with multiple people in my life. This is not one dimensional, okay? But I had to go through this and learn this. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be this huge leap. Just start small. Start small, and then every single day, it's just like lifting weights. What are you going to do? You can't just lift them all at once, okay? You have to work your way to it. You don't just lose all your weight and all the fat at once either. It's little by little by little by little is what gets you to that point. So it's the same thing, okay? We are not meant to just poof, all of a sudden be different. I mean, we can do that with our hair. You can have a different haircut. You can have a different wardrobe, but your physical body and your mind take time. Okay, so little by little by little by little, you'll definitely get there. So I hope that helps you. And again, I'm going to wrap this up with whatever you've learned in life, no matter where you're at, even if you're where you don't want to be, the awareness that you have and the truth that you know to be true. Do not dim that and push that to the side to suit the comfort levels of other people. That doesn't make you a bad person. I don't know if you needed to hear that today or who needed to hear that today, but you are not a bad person for standing your ground and being who you are based on your experiences and your value system. All right? Mwah. I love you. Have a great day.